Shout out to Babylon, yeah. All the Gypsy crew as well. Worst cellmate. Worst cellmate, easiest decision I've ever made, yeah. Hands down. No one comes close, yeah. He was my best mate at the time. He was my best mate after this. We're still mates now. We never fell out. We just drifted apart, you know what I mean? He was he was my Cody at the time. The worst cellmate I've ever had in my life was my best mate, my Cody. And we shared a couple of cells over a couple of sentences, and he's one of the reasons I've got a single cell. Go back and watch the video. The rigmarole I went through to get a single cell. He's one of the reasons I hate having cellmates. There was not one enjoyable day with this guy, my best mate, Cody's. And I've had some terrible cellmates. I mean, just off the top of my head, yeah, I can remember this geezer. I woke up in the middle of the night, mate. He's perched on the toilet, yeah, feet on the toilet on the toilet seat, yeah. So he's put his dirty feet on the toilet seat, and he's taking a shit, right? And he's like, I haven't woke up just as he's doing it. I woke up at the end when he's washing his ass with a bottle of water, yeah. I mean, mate, get off the toilet seat. Like 3 o'clock in the morning, I could have jumped up and killed him, yeah. It's like, get up, make sure that's all clean there, yeah. Yes, that's clean, that's clean. In the morning, there was shit everywhere, all over the toilet, where he just poured water all over his ass in the middle of the night. There was shit everywhere, mate. He was a terrible cellmate. There was a cellmate. I've spoke about the cellmate that used to tell stories about getting getting wired up to the car battery by his dad. You know, dad used to rev the engine, straight electrocute him, mate. You know what I mean? About how he robbed vaults and all that. He was a terrible cellmate. Just sit in the corner of the cell, tearing paper all night, just staring, not saying a word, just tearing paper. Or he might have even tore it downwards. Weirdo, mate. Utter weirdo, yeah. He was a nightmare. You know, there's been geezers that, you know, that smell. There's been geezers that, you know, there was one that I used to like that couldn't sleep. He could never ever sleep. So like, I'd turn the telly off, yeah, at night, yeah. Turn the telly. I can't sleep with the telly on. Some people need the telly, need a bit of noise. But I just turn it on. He used to wake up at like, he never sleep. He'd just get up at like 3, 4 in the morning, just whack the telly on. I could have hit him with a telly like a few times, mate. You know what I mean? He was a nightmare, mate. I used to come back from work, like wherever I was working. I had a PlayStation at the time, yeah. Bought off the jail for 120 quid. Second-hand PS2 cost 20 quid. I'm not moaning, but everyone goes on about how great it is to be like in jails and all that, yeah, for a PS2 that you got to buy yourself, like second-hand for 120 quid. Yeah, it's great. So he come back, he used to be playing it. He said, go to me, mate, you can't just touch my shit. Like, don't just touch my stuff. Like, you know what I mean? So mate, you think, if I've got to start, like, marking off the coffee and all that, like, making sure you're not touching it, like, get out of the cell and just stop touching my stuff. I ended up, before I kicked him out, yeah, I ended up with a YO in myself, like, who lied. Like, a YO is under 21, basically, yeah. He got nicked for saying all his codees were over 21 legitimately. If you're over 21, you get a longer time, and if you're under 21, you get a lesser time. He lied, said he was over 21, so he basically was giving himself a longer sentence just so he could be with his codees. And I ended up with this kid in my cell. I eventually just went downstairs and just spoke to the squad. God, like you banged me up with fucking YO. Like I like one that weren't gonna like sort of like do all the paperwork and all that, yeah. But one I went, listen, you've just got to get this fucking kid out of my cell. I don't care where you put him anywhere else. Eventually got put in with like one of his codees, like, but his codees are like, you know what I mean? There was like, say there was 4 codees, so there was 2 cells, 2 in each, you know what I mean? And he was like the 5th wheel, mate. I ended up with him. Stole the scratch up. Just like, you just got to get this kid out myself, man. He's driving me mad. You know what I mean? He did it, like, but why would you give yourself more birds just to be with your codees? He'd never done jail before. That's what it was. He's idiot. Anyway, Cody, mate, my Cody. Oh, mate. Like, and not like we was mates on road, yeah, good mates on road. Yeah, we got up to all sorts on road, yeah. We got up we got up inside all sorts on road, mate, yeah. Like Bertie Bassett. I mean, he was the most on road. He was like the most unluckiest geezer as well, man. Jesus Christ! You soon learnt like when learnt that this geezer was not like having a rabbit foot. He was the opposite of having a rabbit foot. Whatever the opposite is, he was the opposite, mate. And I didn't find that out. 2 sentences down the road, I found that out, mate. You know what I mean? 10 years of my life gone. Uh, oh, mate. Like I said, he's a good geezer, mate. But Jesus Christ, shit cell, mate, and the most unluckiest geezer on road that you've ever met in your life. I mean, he's the sort of geezer that would treading dog shit and then, you know what I mean, put his other foot down and fucking treading human shit with the other foot. You know what I mean? What did he used to get up to, mate? What did he? And just by the way, yeah, he would definitely say the same. If he was sitting in there, he would be saying the same about me. We did not get on in that cell at all. Like, so it's not like I'm bitching about his back, yeah, behind his back. We did not get on in that cell. People used to go to me, yeah, if like people on the landing would say like, "How's matey? How's blah blah?" I ain't spoke to him for 2 weeks. I'd be like, 2 weeks? He's your cellmate. I'd be like, actually, actually, could you do me a favour? Just pass a message on to me. I'd be like, fuck off. I mean, at least when it's a stranger, yeah. When it's a stranger, you sort of you build up like you've got that. You're trying to get to know each other, yeah. So you're forcing yourself to get along, ain't you? It's a stranger, yeah. You first meet in the cell. You don't have flare ups unless you just clash instantly, which does happen. But 9 times out of 10, you're trying to be polite. You're in jail, right? But you're trying to be gentleman, aren't you? You don't want to, you know what I mean? First impressions and all that. So you're giving the false politeness and the false manners and all the kindness, and you're agreeing with each other. You know what I mean? I mean, if whoever's the first in the cell as well, just say I'm in the cell first, and he comes in. I've been in the cell for months, and he comes in from court or whatever, or sitting there from another wing or whatever. It's usually that bit of respect that they'll know that the person in there first, not in charge of the cell, but they'll be in charge of where like they'll be sleeping in probably the bottom bunk. The bottom bunk's the one you have in jail, yeah. So you've got to jump up and down. There, you might have to stomach what they're watching on TV. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, because they was in there first. So how you going to say, oh, I don't watch Match of the Day. I don't watch EastEnders. Like the geezer's been watching it every day for like a year, and you're going to go and go, no, no, no. You got to stomach that. You might have a few posters on the wall, like things that set out how you don't want. You've got to put up with that. And eventually you'll come to some sort of, it just gradually become more 50-50, yeah, over time. You know what I mean? You'll both work things out and it become more 50-50. And that's where the arguments start, mate. That's when the arguments actually start. When things even up, that's when the arguments start. Um, but when it's your mate, it's drama from the off, innit? It's drama from the off. Because the biggest problem, like the biggest problem is neither one of you want to back down. Neither one of you want to back down about anything minor, mainly minor. It's mainly minor bullshit, mate, that you're arguing about, and neither one of you want to back down. You'll be arguing about who boils the kettle, who makes the coffee, who changes the channel on the TV. You've got to get up and do that, ain't you? That's long, isn't it? I mean, you'd think the person on the bottom bunk would have to do that, but it ain't that simple. It's not that simple. 2 in the morning when it's freezing cold, mate. You'll go to war over that, mate. You'll be arguing about who controls the TV remote if you've managed to get hold of one. You'll be arguing about who empties the bin, who sweeps the floor, who mops the floor, who puts the food. Where'd you get rid of the food waste? I mean, you don't always eat every morsel of your dinner and lick the plate clean, do you? At best, you've got like a waste papered bin in your cell. Yeah, you've got no lid on it. Where'd you put your rubbish? You know what I mean? Bin, toilet, or out the window. You know what I'm saying? Me personally, I put it down the toilet, mash it up, put it down the toilet. You can't put it in the bin. It's a waste paper bin, man. You know what I mean? It stinks. If you put it out the window, all you're doing is feeding the seagulls, and they're really annoying. And no one seems to care about that. The fact that them seagulls, mate, drive you mad. Seagulls, they're in schools, they're in prisons, they're on building sites, they're everywhere but the sea, mate. Yeah, you'll be arguing about that. One of you might just want to just chuck it down the toilet. No, I mean, even like Me, I'm one of them people. Yeah, as soon as I've used something, I wash it up. Even in here, like I never leave something to get. I never leave the sink to get filled. Yeah, I go through washing up liquid like no one's business. Yeah, because if I use a cup, I wash it up. Fork, wash it up. Knife, and wash it up. You might have a cellmate that he was one of them. He'd put this knife and fork in the sink, in the tiny little prison sink. Your one dinner plate takes up that whole sink, and it's bulging out. Like, you know what I mean? I'll just leave it in there for a few hours. Why are you gonna leave it in there for a few hours? Why are you gonna leave it in there for a few hours, mate? Whatever you've got on there is gonna stain it. Your white plate's gonna tomorrow be stained orange. Just wash it, you dirty bastard, mate. You know what I mean? You'll be arguing about, when's the right time to use the toilet. If you gotta go, ain't you? That's like sort of my philosophy. But you start being needlessly awkward, don't you? You start needlessly being awkward, going, no, what are you doing? What are you doing? You can't go. Yeah, wait, wait till wait till we go out. You're going to argue about who's going to turn the light on or off, the light switch, who's going to open and shut the window. Whether one of you's going to put your foot on mate's bed when you jump up onto the top bunk. Oh, you just put your foot with no socks on my bed. How do you want me to get in bed? Do you want me to levitate up there? You know what I mean? Or you've jumped off the bed and a crumb of something has fell off the top bunk and landed onto the bottom bunk. God forbid, mate. Or mate is asleep. And I've said I've done this before, but I didn't only do it. This was like a little trademark of mine. Wait for him to be asleep and just sprinkle crumbs of biscuits onto his face. I did that to him as well. He used to go mad. My Cody used to go much more mad than the other kid I used to do it to. He used to go mad. We used to nearly have fights over that, face to face, nose to nose. He'd have crumbs all in his face. I'll be looking at what else did we used to argue about? He used to ask me to go and get like bread from the server. Like sometimes I never used to want to eat bread really. I'd go off bread. You know what I mean? Eventually, I just want to stop eating bread, and he'd go, "Oh, can I have your 2 bits?" Or when you get them 2 bits, can you ask for another 2 bits? Just so he can have it, and I'd begrudge doing it to him. It's 2 bits of bread that doesn't mean nothing to me, but I'd begrudge it. I'd be like, you greedy pig, just so you can stuff your face. You want me to go down there begging bread? Like, it means nothing. I'd ask for bread if I was hungry. It means nothing. What else would we argue about, mate? He'd always be debted up to the eyeball. I mean, we'd both be in debt, yeah. It's possible not to, isn't it? You know what I mean? Especially back in the day with the tobacco and all that. It's easy to go, someone gets a bit of tobacco. Double, double, double. That's how you pay it back. Double bubble. He was one of them people. He literally wouldn't think. He wouldn't think. It was impossible for him to think longer than the nose on his face. You know what I mean? He'd have no long-term plan. So like, you get your canteen on a Friday at 3 p.m. By 5 p.m. he's gone. He's gone, mate. He might have a couple of roll-ups in the cell. And I've paid what I've had to pay out as well, but I've managed to keep some bits and bobs. And he'd expect to be shared with. He'd expect to be shared. Don't get me wrong. He'd share everything with me. But share what? You know what I mean? On the odd occasion that he'd managed to have something off that he's got to say, he'd be like, yeah, here you go. And you'd like want all the praise in the world for it. And then, you know what I mean? But fully expecting me to share every single week. So fuck off, mate. And we'd have arguments about that. I remember one time, he jumped off the bed, quite late at night. He's dressed in his boxers, that's all he's got on, right? He's jumped off the bed. As soon as his feet hit the deck, he's like, screamed in agony and just crumbled onto the floor. You know what I mean? Yeah? Cold, hard prison cell floor, yeah? Dang, like just in his boxers. He's writhing about in agony, saying like, he's back. You know what I mean? I've obviously got up to help him. It's like, it's late, yeah? So it's midnight, you know what I mean? I'm in my boxers as well. I've jumped out of my bed, come down to help him, tried to lift him up. Oh, don't touch me. He's in agony, yeah? Screaming in agony. I've tried to like put something under his head, yeah, like a blanket or whatever. I can't do it. He's in agony. Don't touch me. You have to get on the bell. He's laying down there, like clenched. Every part of his body's clenched, yeah, he's in agony. So I've hit the cell bell. And like, it always takes, it takes a while for them to come on that emergency cell bell, yeah. Emergency, usually it takes a screw half hour to get there. We'll just say it took him 10, 15 minutes or whatever. Yeah. He's on the floor, gov, blah, 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 blah. You know, it's another 15, 20 minutes of explaining something to the screw, letting him know that we're not trying to do some form of escape or something, you know what I mean? That screw, the night screw can't open the door though, he's got no authority to open the door, he has to go and get Oscar 1. The officer's called, yeah, Oscar 1. He's the one that's in charge, and you have the authority to have the cell open and all that, yeah? It takes another half hour. He's been on the floor for, say, an hour by this point. By the time they come and the nurse comes and all that, it might have even been a bit longer. This is Pentonville as well, by the way, yeah, so he probably was a bit longer. Probably a cockroach is running over him as well, yeah. But, you know, in that time as well, yeah, he's on the floor, he's in his boxers, nothing. I'll put a blanket on him as well, yeah, chucked a blanket over him, right? But he's freezing, yeah. His teeth are chattering, his lips have gone a bit blue, you know what I mean? He's clenched up, he's freezing, he's shivering, full stop, you know what I mean? Door gets bust open. Oscar 1 comes in with his night screw, and the nurse start checking him out. You alright, mate? You alright, mate? Blah blah blah. I forgot it. Like what was wrong with him? All I can remember, it took them. Say they're in there messing about with him for about another half hour or whatever, before they managed to get him up and get him in the bed. Yeah, there was nothing majorly wrong with him. I can't even remember what he did. Just a twinge or whatever. Yeah, a couple of days he was back to normal. But I remember when he first jumped out of bed that night. Yeah, as soon as his feet hit the floor, and he was like, ah! I thought, yes, good. He's hit the deck, mate, like writhing about in pain. I'm thinking, I hope you've just jumped onto broken glass. You know what I mean? I can't remember what we'd argued about, but at that time, I hated him with every being, like every fibre, mate. I hated him. I hated him. He's writhing about, and I'm debating whether even to get on the bell and help him. You know what I mean? He's like, "Oh, help me, help me." I'm like, I've done it. Wait the light on. Push again, do it again. Well, you don't trust me or something? Don't trust me like I'm pushing it. I didn't really do that. Should have though, mate. Saying he was unlucky, right? Another time he's in jail. He cut his finger off, mate. Just cut it off at work, the recycling plant. Cut it clean off. I don't know what he done. Put it into a machine. Just cut it off, man. Got a few grand payout, but never enough for your finger, is it? I mean, I wasn't there to see that. I don't know where I was, on road or whatever, experiencing freedom. But even then, I heard and I thought, yes, he's definitely annoying his other cellmate that he's got right now. Poor bastard. Yes. Anyway, if you enjoyed that, hit subscribe and we'll chat tomorrow. Adios.